We were exhausted from your sister's vacation to come to your wedding, Mom messaged. I replied, take it easy, but they had no clue I was tying the knot with a family worth millions. When they caught my ceremony on television, my phone rang 85 times. But I let it ring. My name is Mason. I'm 32, a technician at a modest garage near Route 19. The man who can spot a failing drive belt by how it snakes when you steer. I carry the scent of degreaser more than aftershave. I stash bills in packets marked rent, food, equipment, and backup. Hands off, I'm the big brother. In our household, I'm the supporter, the chauffeur, the wheel swapper. Reserved, dependable, dull, except when an engine refuses to crank. My sister Jenna is the darling. That's not sour grapes, that's reality. Our shining light, Mom declares. Dad labels her globetrotter. She shares terminal clips with lines like, grab planes, not emotions, then pings the family chat for a lift because rideshares seem risky tonight. Who arrives? Me. I was raised with grease on my fingers and my mind in others' machinery. If a relative needed hauling, I was the rental truck. If Dad's trimmer quit, I was the hardware run. If Jenna missed a charge, I got a payment app alert at 1:13 a.m. labeled minor crisis. That's our clan. Crises stay minor when they belong to someone else. I encountered Tessa at the garage. She rolled in for a fluid swap and lingered to question why her console glow seemed critical. She chuckled at my breakdown about detectors acting superior to drivers. I appreciated that she paid attention. I appreciated that she delivered a turkey sub on my toughest shift and didn't label it affection style. 1 year on, we shared a meal on a Wednesday evening and she stated, I don't need grand ceremonies. I need to wed you. I agreed. We picked a fast slot, City Hall, followed by a modest gathering at her aunt's eatery. Straightforward, budget-friendly, no fuss. I messaged my folks the outline with a snapshot of the municipal stairs. Would be great if you joined, I added. Mom responded after 2 hours. We're wiped out from Jenna's journey to attend your wedding. That trip from Indonesia drained us completely. I gazed at the display in the lounge while the timer dinged like a pulse tracker. I entered, take it easy, because that's what I've always entered. I erased the extended note. I dispatched the brief one. Then I flipped my device screen down and returned to a truck with an uneven burn. But the phrase seared in my jeans like a heated fastener. Wiped out for my ceremony. I didn't realize yet, but that message was the initial fracture, not the sole one. The truth about motors in kin is the fault appears way before the warning illuminates. We weren't broke in childhood. We were hush on finances folks. That meant the guidelines were basic. If Dad covered, he was kind. If I covered, I was dutiful. If Jenna covered, it was unjust to demand that of her because she's discovering her path. Mom presented it as ordinary. Mason's sensible, she'd remark, passing me a chore list. Jenna's exceptional. I was sensible when I rode the transit from classes to clock in at the rim store. Jenna was exceptional when she required a vehicle for security. Dad guaranteed the note. Guess who serviced her fluids without charge? I didn't track points, I tracked slips. Actual ones. Creased, elastic-bound, a pile that signified zero to others but me. At 19, when my initial clunker failed, I purchased a '99 hatchback with funds I'd hoarded from warm seasons. Dad remarked, proud of you, kid. 3 months on, Jenna rang sobbing because her adorable compact needed stops and the dealer is fleecing me. I motored over, repaired them in her complex lot. She uploaded a snap with me blurred behind and captioned, kin is all. She didn't link me. When I hit 25, I requested Dad for a modest advance to snag a superior tool chest at sale. He stated, self-reliance. I yanked them. The same cycle, Mom phoned. Jenna's fantasy voyage is France. We aim to assist her travel. I contributed $300 because we're united. She gifted me a trinket like the landmark tower. It snapped in days. That cycle extended like a drive belt you insist will handle 1 extra trip. Dad set codes for me. Ring first, show thanks, don't weigh down. He set codes for Jenna. Message anytime. We'll sort it. She's fragile. The initial time I resisted, I was 28. Jenna had briefly returned home and treated my former space as storage. She borrowed my cordless and misplaced the adapter. I stated, kindly return my items to their spot. Mom labeled me domineering. Jenna wept and shared a line about negative vibes. I stepped out and secured the wobbly fence Dad kept vowing to mend. Meanwhile, I was crafting an existence that didn't appear as one to them. I favored compact, trustworthy items. An inexpensive brewer that doesn't fail. A sofa from online deals that didn't dip. Nights where I could detect the tick. I courted ordinary ladies with actual roles and payment deadlines. Then Tessa entered with a ride that purred and a grin with matching vibe. We align like you align sockets to nuts. No need to twist. Tessa's kin operates a pain firm, not showy, not ostentatious. Just consistent deals and uncanny focus on precision. Her father, Victor, began on scaffolds and now authorizes checks. He's the type who can eye a sheet and estimate the dimension to the fraction. He also utters thanks to the youth mopping up. When I encountered him, he inquired about twist values, not my earnings. He valued that I handled corrosion. We maintained our union modest by design. We didn't conceal it. We simply didn't turn it into a spectacle. Tessa remarked, "I want attendees who cheer for us, not for their egos." I replied, "Yes. I informed my folks soon. I anticipated odd, not harsh." Mom answered with the wiped-out message and another. "Your sibling just returned and we are spent aiding her unpack. We'll treat you pair out later." Dad appended, "City Hall unions aren't true unions, kid, but proceed as needed." I fixated on that a while. I shared with Tessa. She didn't flinch. "I regret," she stated. "Want to shift the slot?" "No," I replied. "I want to adjust my hopes." The wealthy angle wasn't the focus and it wasn't mine. It was a facet of Tessa's sphere I ignored. Her aunt holds a sports channel branch. The eatery we selected for the party is a kin staple on that channel's Regional Gems program. They inquired if they could capture setting mood. We agreed okay. I figured it meant a filmer with a pullover draped on shoulders and a filter that made dishes glossier. I didn't grasp setting mood in her aunt's realm is 5 rigs and a flyer. The week of the union, Mom and Dad went mute except for a note about Jenna's time difference is brutal. Jenna shared a loop of her tips under a glow board. Wellness moment. She didn't inquire about my attire. The eve prior, Dad forwarded a task he desired completed. Drop by morning and install the screen I got your mother. Ought to take quarter hour. I entered unavailable. Union, he responded. Screen is for your mother. I stayed silent. I set my device to flight and creased my top with deliberate care. My existence seemed like a ride I'd calibrated endlessly that others kept seizing the controls of. I gripped both firmly again. At 10:03 p.m., a fresh alert bypassed. Jenna, proud of you big sib. Can't attend. I'm drained, but forward snaps for punctuation excitement. Zero energy. I rested little, not from anxiety, from the buzz of past habits attempting to restart. We wed on a bright Thursday at 11 a.m. The official was swift, witty, and resembled a matriarch who could outdebate a lawmaker. Tessa teared. I didn't, but my neck felt constricted like a stud you avoid rounding. We exited linked, and it seemed like a ride smoothing an irregular fire. You know the noise when all balances? That, at the eatery. Her aunt embraced me and stated, "Welcome to the noisy branch of the kin." The filming team was skilled and courteous. They queried if we objected to some captures of the cheers and the dessert. I glanced at Tessa. She lifted shoulders. "Allow them capture," she stated. We were savoring citrus pillows when my device vibrated on the surface, Mom. "Thinking of you," her note stated. "We're so spent. Jenna's time difference is severe. Perhaps Sunday we can mark lightly." Something in me broke, but not noisy. Neat, I entered. "Hope you take it easy." Then the next alert struck. Dad dropped by tonight to install the screen. I fixated. Tessa noticed my expression. "What?" she queried gentle. "He wants me to arrive install a screen tonight." Tessa processed. "On our union night." "Yeah." I entered no. "Uniting. Kindly cease." I dispatched. I flipped the device screen down like sealing a container. Quarter hour on, the director queried if he could attach a mic to us for one brief celebratory spot for the program's piece. "No obligation," he stated. "We're featuring Area Ventures. It's not centered on you pair, but you're appealing and joyful, which aids." We participated. Half minute. "We adore this spot," Tessa stated. "Feels like ours," I stated. "The pasta tops my mom's. Don't inform her." Attendees chuckled. The rig's word. Someone tapped a vessel. It seemed okay and compact. Correct after the spot, my device illuminated like a step light. The kin chat exploded. "Jenna, hold on, are you on screen?" "Mom, why are there rigs at your union?" "Dad, is this prank?" I stayed silent. The program aired at 6 p.m. a brief piece. Our visages on display for perhaps 20 seconds, grinning, tapping Tessa's aunt behind discussing neighborhood. Then the bottom banner showed the eatery title, the program's mark, and a capture of us locking lips that made the whole space roar. My device began ringing like a siren without pause. Unknown digit. Mom, Dad, Jenna, Aunt Leela. 85 rings by the dessert slice. I tallied because technicians tally items. I answered none. The snap point wasn't the screen or the rings. It was the insight that they only glanced my way when a lens did. I set my device to silent alerts and tucked it into Tessa's bag. "Join me on the floor?" I queried. She beamed. "Forever." The dawn after, we consumed chilled dessert in sheets and viewed the piece loop online. The remarks were kind. Folks adored the eatery. Someone noted we seemed sturdy. I favor that term. At 9:12 a.m., Mom messaged, "We must converse. We feel ambushed." At 9:14, "Are you uniting into wealth?" Jenna claims it appeared costly. At 9:16, "Ring us immediately." I placed the device screen down once more. By midday, there were audio notes. Mom sobbing. "How could you manage this without us?" Dad furious. "You made us appear foolish." Jenna complaining. "You shamed me. People are querying if I attended." I activated play on 0. Tessa brewed Java. We rested on the deck like we'd leased the entire slot. Aunt Leela from my branch messaged something else. "I viewed you on screen. You appeared content. Proud of you. Ring me when ready." I responded with a symbol. By late day, Dad shifted strategy. "We must review funds," he penned. We presumed you'd assist with Jenna's balances once you're uplifted. Uplifted like a lift he believed he could board. I fixated on that and felt my torso chill. There it was, the core, not me, not affection, the balance sheet. I entered gradually. Hi Dad, we're not reviewing funds. My union doesn't alter my duties. I'm not accountable for Jenna's balances. We maintain the union modest by design. If you and Mom wish to be in our existence, it won't be via statements. He responded immediately. Don't be unthankful. Kin aids each other. Kin doesn't mean grant, I penned. Take it easy. He dispatched a section about honor and advantage and recall your roots. I stored the device. I headed to the shed and secured a wobbly joint with a driver because occasionally you must mend an item that will truly secure. On Monday, I returned to labor for the early slot. I favor the routine, fluids, screens. A man debating a discount. Around 10:30, a dark sport ute arrived. My folks emerged like arriving at a gala. Mason, Mom stated, airy, entering the area in footwear that despise pavement. We're here to celebrate you. At labor, I stated. We must talk brief, Dad stated, scanning like the garage was an affront. My superior, Ede, met my gaze and lifted a brow. You okay? He lipped. I handle, I stated. We positioned by the rim stand. Mom patted my limb excessively. We regret missing it, she stated, all tender. We were simply so spent from Jenna's extended flight. You comprehend. You messaged me that, I stated. I comprehended, Dad grunted. And now, celebrations, you've united into potential. Let's review how we can all advance. Advance how? I queried. He didn't waver. Your siblings' balances are overwhelming. Jenna can't flourish like this, and your mother and I have some home tasks. A platform, the shingles. We figured, given your position, you could. No, I stated. Mom processed. No to which. Yes, I stated. No, Dad's cheek twitched. You're being harsh. I'm being precise. We nurtured you better. You nurtured me to mend items, I stated. You didn't nurture me to be a contributor. Mom's sight moistened quick. How could you shame us on broadcast? You shamed yourselves with that message, I stated steady. You informed me you were wiped out for my union. Then you spotted a lens and recalled me. Ede approached, drying his palms. People, we're in an active zone. If you must debate, perhaps exit. We're not debating, Dad stated, flashing a false grin. We're conducting a kin talk. It's finished, I stated. I'm not your mender. I'm not Jenna's fun source. I'm your offspring when you recall I'm an individual. Dad attempted one final approach. What would it require to resolve this? I chuckled once brief. It's gratis. You regret. You halt exploiting me. You halt presuming my spouse's existence is my purse. You arrive when there's no lens. Mom recoiled at regret like it was profanity. We can't redo past, Mason. I don't aim to redo, I stated. I aim a limit. They departed in a haze of costly scent and letdown. Ede passed me a sports drink. Kin, he stated. I nodded. That cycle, the rings persisted. 85 became 92. I barred digits like ceiling drips. Jenna shared a tale with the line, when your sibling believes he's above you. She linked none and all understood. I drafted a note and fixed it in my thoughts. A line so I wouldn't be pulled back into the prior rhythm. We cherish you. We won't review funds. We won't assume Jenna's balances. We won't reply to shame. We're open for brew on Sundays at 2 p.m. at the cafe. If you offend my spouse or me, the meet concludes. Mason, I dispatched it to Mom and Dad in one joint message. 3 bubbles showed, vanished, showed. Mom, this is painful. Me, it's useful. Dad, you'll rue this. Me, no. Tessa's kin didn't deliver addresses or dominance plays. Victor gripped my palm firmer and stated, proud you held ground. Tessa's aunt packed additional herb rolls in a sack and stated, for limits. At Sunday meal, none referenced broadcast. They queried if my socket kit needed upgrade. I didn't weep, but my sight did that burn sensation. 2 cycles on, Jenna messaged straight for the initial since the union. Can you guarantee a modest advance? It's just $12K. I'll repay it quick. I entered no, she penned, you've altered. I penned yes. She dispatched, Mom claims you're being swayed. I penned by whom? Self-value. She ignored me. Mom attempted celebrations next. Gratitude Day will be at ours, she messaged. We anticipate you to. Attire sharp. I responded, we'll be at the cafe at 2 p.m. If you wish to join, we'd appreciate. She responded, custom counts. I stated, so do individuals. We visited the cafe. We selected the feature, bird, thin sauce, berries from a tin, and it savored like ease. At 2:30, Aunt Leela entered the seat with breeze in her locks. I selected individuals, she stated, and nabbed one of my spuds. I wanted to embrace the entire budget plastic bench. In the final month, a mail arrived addressed to Mr. and Mrs. Mason. Inside, a statement formatted like a union card, kin duties, final month with items. Jenna's education balance minimum for $100. Mom and Dad's shingles, $600. Holiday pool, $300. Total owed, $1,300. No jest, no memo, just a deadline. I snapped a picture. I forwarded it to Dad with my lines attached. Then I fed the mail through the chopper, a gradual, gratifying sound like a resistant stud finally rotating. A cycle on, Mom rang from a fresh digit. You're truly committing this, she stated low. Yes, I stated. We're united. We're a pair. We aid where we select, not where we're forced. She inhaled. Your sibling is sensitive. Then she requires attention, I stated, not a guarantor. Your father won't pardon you for this. He doesn't need to, I stated. He needs to honor it. She disconnected. I stepped to the shed and swapped the split tube on my pump. The whistle ceased. The quiet seemed like a fresh type of pressure. Warm season arrived like a gradual ignition ride that finally engages. The rings reduced. The shame notes contracted from sections to bubbles to zero. Jenna shared less about voyages and more about grind, which I chose not to interpret. My folks attempted one additional ploy, a joint alert titled Kin Gathering, site set to their residence, slot required. I responded with the lines, "We do brew at 2 p.m. cafe." They didn't appear. On a Wednesday, Mom requested to meet solo. We rested at the cafe because I'm steady if nothing else. She appeared weary, not from time difference, just from the load of shoving something immovable. I long for you, she stated. I'm present, I stated. We were incorrect not to attend your union, she stated. Gaze on the surface. I assumed you'd pardon like you always do. I nodded. I pardon, I stated. I also revised the guidelines, she inhaled. Your father won't regret. I anticipated, I stated. He doesn't need to utter sorry to make this function. He needs to cease dispatching statements. She grinned without joy. That was his concept. I know. We rested silent a moment. The server topped our brew without query, the way folks do when they've claimed you as theirs. Jenna's upset with you, Mom stated. She's upset at Pole too, I stated. It prevents her from drifting. I'm not shifting. You've become firm. I've become precise. I bent ahead. This isn't penalty. It's safeguard for me, for Tessa, for the kin I'm forming that doesn't operate on balances. Mom nodded once gradual. If we arrive to the cafe next Sunday, would you remain? I'll be there at 2, I stated. They arrived. They were delayed, but they arrived. Dad gripped my palm like it was an exam. I kept mine firm. We selected meat patty and soft spuds. None referenced funds. Jenna didn't appear. We discussed the sky, the garage, the split path outside their residence that I didn't propose to mend. At the close, Mom requested to view a snapshot of our union slot. I displayed her one. She brushed the display with a tip like verifying if the surface was actual. On the exit, Dad stated, clumsy, heard you on screen. I stated we were setting. He stated appeared pleasant. It was nearly praise. I handled it like one. At residence, I retrieved the backup hands-off packet from the compartment. It held more than before, not due to anyone's funds, but due to space. I inserted a 20. I inscribed on the packet, limits fund. I returned it. Folks idealize pardon like it sparks. Mine was a twist tool. Snap, secure enough, no extra. I'm united now. My residence has 2 brushes and a schedule with only our slots on it. If my folks fit in the blocks, they will be received. If they attempt to scribe statements over the slots, the ink won't function. Here's the lesson, basic, no extras. I won't be penalized for selecting myself. I won't fund another grown's dream. I won't mix clamor for affection or shame for direction. I'll accept rings when they arrive without ties. I'll say yes when it's aid, no when it's harvest. If you forward me a statement labeled kin, it enters the chopper. Mom messaged last Sunday, cafe at 2. I entered see you there. She appended, we're not including Jenna this round. She's still adapting. I penned, okay. Then I set my device down and stepped out to swap the fluid in my neighbor's ride because he's a decent man and he shares grilled meat sometimes, and this is the type of exchange I favor. Service for service, no balance, no warnings. Tessa emerged with a citrus drink and stated, how's the motor? Operating smooth, I stated. She touched my face, so are you. I grinned, grime and all. The prior existence is still in the mirror, tiny as a ride you've overtaken. The path forward appears basic. Proceed, halt for folks who signal with open palms, not open purses. Keep the gauge midway, keep the limits secure. This isn't payback, this is conclusion, and if a lens ever aims at us again, I hope it captures only this. 2 folks who selected calm over clamor, precision over balances, and an existence that operates finally like it ought.